Escape from Tarkov is well known for its amazing first-person animations, and they all have but one goal: to make the gameplay more immersive and enjoyable. And that's where the AI comes in, or in this case, the Scavs. While you can encounter Scavs all across the map, they can definitely be a mood killer, at least for me. I find their behavior unnatural, decisions illogical, and abilities, well, that's why I've decided to redesign their animations. I'll show you how I made an entire animation sequence for Scavs, from an idle patrol, little bit of nothing to do, item consumption, fitting for their personalities, transition to a combat stance, again suitable for their limited skill level, and a death due to panic animation. I'll take you through the entire production process and further explain my vision for Scav behavior. So, let's get started. So here we are in iclone 8, go-to program for character animation. It's an extremely powerful tool that offers a smooth and non-destructive workflow, but more on that later. Our Scav character is ready and imported, and I made him using Character Creator 4 in Blender. Now, the original Tarkov gear was slightly modified with permission from Battlestate Games, of course, and before we dive into the animation, I'm just gonna set the textures on low because I don't want my PC making weird noises. We're gonna start by attaching the SKS, you know, a common Scav weapon, to this guy. I mean, if we're being real, this is the most accurate representation of how the Scavs work in Tarkov. So I began by posing the hand in an accurate position, because if we want to make it look believable, both the fingers and the hand have to be in the correct spots. So I perceive the Scavs as these glorified hobos, but after some time spent in Tarkov, they've learned a few things, but they still don't know how to properly fight, or at least they shouldn't. Again, this is just my rendition. I'm not saying anything should be changed. Wink wink. But this guy knows enough to not rest his trigger finger on the actual trigger. Now we just link the gun to the right hand, and from now on, every time we move the hand, the gun's gonna follow. Now we're gonna proceed to pose the guy and get him ready for a walk animation. Yay! Just for reference, I have a recording of myself here trying to imitate a Scav patrol. And initially I wanted to rotoscope the animation over the footage, but then I've decided not to do that. So I've simply left it here to keep an eye on the pacing, and eventually I turned it off and improvised the whole animation. I know it wasn't necessary, but I kinda wanted to take it a step further and challenge myself. Pain. It was painful. Prepare to enter the thrilling world of Raid Shadow Legends, a realm where every choice you make carves out your path to victory. And the best part, it's available in both mobile and PC for free. See, Raid isn't just a game, it's a phenomenon uniting millions around the world. Choose your pace by savoring the stunning graphics in a relaxed playstyle, or challenge yourself in the PvP arena with over 700 champions at your fingertips, each offering different strategies to triumph in boss fights, dungeons, the Doom Tower, and more. Personally, what captivates me the most is the deep strategy involved, crafting the perfect team and facing off against tough opponents. Now, who doesn't dream of owning a free legendary champion? Introducing Sun Wukong, Raid's stellar rendition of the iconic mischievous Monkey King. And guess what? He's yours for the taking. Simply log into Raid on 7 unique days between August 22nd and October 23rd, and this legendary figure will join your ranks. So whether you're a veteran or a newcomer eager to start your adventure, now is the perfect time to engage in the thrilling new Hydra Clash, a clan-based challenge with enticing rewards waiting for you. And for the new players, we have something special. Get the Stag Knight and a unique skin designed by JonTron using the promo code before October 7th. So, ready to embark on your raid journey? Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and pass the tutorial to start with a powerful champion and awesome in-game loot in your starter pack. Let's raid. So now that we have the gun linked to both hands using the reach target option, if we move the right hand now, this is what we get. So onto the walk cycle. So now I'm just blocking out the main poses, pretty much laying down the foundation for more complex motions. And once I finished setting up the initial key poses, I moved on to work with the curve editor, and this is my favorite part of doing animation. I'm simply using the curves to edit the existing motion and add the in-betweens to make the motion look smoother. And we're gonna further refine the motions as the animation becomes more complex. So as we go along, I further tweak the hand position because, in the end, we are aiming for a good dose of realism. Okay, as a little challenge for you guys, I want you to write down in the comments and guess how many hours it took me to make this whole animation from start to finish. So here I'm adding some quick motion to the head/neck area, and now let's give this guy something to do. I want to make it look cool, so I'm going to attach this beer bottle to his backpack. Fits right in. So talking about Tarkov's immersion, I want to breathe life into this guy. So he's been patrolling the streets of Tarkov for a while, and amid the whole anarchy and chaos, he's got a boss he answers to after all, so you know, he can't can't just do whatever he likes. Let's face it, he's gonna take every chance he gets to have fun, even if it means drinking on the job. So lest he breaks his tooth, I want to go easy on him. We'll say this beer has already been opened and he simply reclosed the bottle. I was kinda looking for a fun way for him to open the beer, and somebody on stream also said he should use the SKS to remove the cap, but my initial idea was for him to open it with his eye sockets. That would kinda be too much, so I went with this instead. Also, if you'd like to see me make more animations on stream, be sure to follow me on Twitch and join next time I'm live. But moving on, so he cracked open the beer, the cap's in his mouth, he's gonna spit it out, and at this point, as much as I aim to keep this sort of simple because, you know, hypothetically this would be in Tarkov, so, you know, this much attention to detail is unnecessary, then I remembered I'm doing this for fun and simply to show you guys that scavs do need work. So if we disregard that this is too much for the game and try to immerse ourselves in a hypothetical world that has the scavs behaving like this, I think it's a win-win. And of course I'm using the curve editor to adjust the mouth motions as well as the bottle cap being spit out. But see, this is not a man of culture, so he's gonna be sloppy about it. So we're gonna use the hand for a smooth wipe motion, and then his real self is gonna show. Or at least the part that was molded by Tarkov. So this guy, being a scav, wouldn't really look for a trash can to get rid of this beer, but he also wouldn't just simply put the bottle down. You know, he's gotta let the aggression out every way he can. So he goes ahead and kicks the bottle. Now I wanted to be super careful with the kick, and for it to look believable, there was a lot of back and forth. I mean, hours upon hours. And keep in mind, none of the finished versions of these motions were set in stone upon adding the initial keyframes. I would pose the walk cycle, then I would go back to the beginning, tweak the hips, tweak the shoulders, tweak the torso, because as I went along, I started paying attention to more and more details, throwing in some curve editor for both the existing and upcoming motions. And my main goal was to make it human-like, but as a disclaimer, I am not a trained animator, and I know my current skill level cannot replace mocap animation, but I tried my best for sure, and I just can't wait for you guys to see the result. Don't skip the video. So moving on, this guy kicks the bottle and he's like, yeah, I showed that bottle, but as we all know, it's pretty much never a good time to relax in Tarkov, so he's about to experience that. As he turned around and took a step forward, a high caliber round whizzed by him and another hit the ground, so our scav friend doesn't quite know how to react because he's not experienced. But again, this is the hypothetical version. In reality, every scav has a pair of eyes in the back of their head. So first he gets caught off guard, curls up like a turtle, but then he's kind of like, okay, I have a gun. So at this point, we want his right hand to grab the gun again so he can finally show off his firepower. As he's doing so, I also wanted him to leap backward because he knows no better. I mean, he shouldn't know better, because let's face it, they're the common enemy in Tarkov, and if he can eliminate up to 20 scavs per one raid, it would only be natural for them to leave an almost clumsy impression. Now, it was super important for me to nail the stance transitions, especially the correct weight shifting, though I spent a lot of time tweaking the splines to achieve a believable result. So what do the scavs do as soon as they spot you? Well, they light you up. And this guy was lucky to survive, but now he got a confidence boost, so he returns fire with his SKS and plunges forward into the action. Well, not for long. One of the rounds catches him and he ends up on the floor. One fewer scav is a 10 FPS gain for sure. I proceeded to attach a point light to the SKS as a reference for the muzzle flash and simply to know how and when to animate the recoil. In other words, torso, shoulders, hips, the whole kinetic chain has to be spot on. But now that we got that covered, the animation is probably done, right? Right? So in the beginning of the video, I mentioned non-destructive workflow. So what does it mean? Well, it basically means I can add an infinite amount of animation layers on top of the already existing ones without any of the previous keyframes getting destroyed. And this is an excellent feature in iclone that allows me to refine the already created keyframes, or perhaps tweak or even turn off the layers I'm not completely satisfied with. So I mean, it's got to be done because we've created one layer. Alright, I don't want to be too enigmatic. The final version of the animation has 23 layers. So now that we finally have the base motions done, it's time to smooth everything out and refine the animation. I start by adding new layers for different body parts, going back and forth to ensure that every new layer complements the previous one. And although the animation starts kind of slow, and we'll just say that this scav is kind of bored, I mean, there's not much to do in Tarkov. Patrols the area, transitions into the drinking animations. The whole point of these animations is to complement what the scavs represent. common enemy. It should make you feel immersed in the game even more, not the other way around. Now, the transition to the combat stance had to be dramatic. I just felt like it needed personality, so I think I did a pretty good job at achieving that. Keep in mind, this could have been a straight up transition to a death animation. That just felt easy. We don't want easy, we want fun. And fun usually means not easy. Take the drinking animation, for example. I was initially going to have him just grab the beer, open the cap with his other hand, and just drink it, but instead I made this. In my opinion, the Scavs have so much potential, and having believable Scav animations could definitely improve the game experience drastically. And keep in mind, this is just the first of my planned animations. I also made sure to pay extra attention to little details like how he lets go of the bottle, respecting the momentum when he leaps backwards, the SKS recoil, transition to running with accurate hip, torso, legs, and feet placement, and layer after layer, spline after spline. I was feeling more confident about the whole thing. And the more I thought about it as I went along, the more this whole idea made sense. I would actually love to see the Scavs receive an overhaul. But what do you guys think? What are your opinions on Scav behavior, and what would you like to see changed? So, refining all the layers, doing the final tweaks, and just making sure everything has a natural flow, I've slowly reached a point where I think I've done enough.
Блядь! Вот он! Ах ты жопа!
So we finally finished it, and I'll be more than happy to hear your thoughts on the animation and how you perceive the whole Scav overhaul idea. So feel free to write down in the comments and tell me what you think. But now for the big reveal. This animation took me a total of 73 hours to complete. And also, what do you think of the Scav boss overhaul? I think that would open up a lot more possibilities because they kinda need work too. So if you'd like to support the channel, hit the subscribe button. Also check out the social links down below because I stream both on Twitch and YouTube depending what day it is. And if you want to take it a step further, consider becoming a member because that way you're directly supporting the channel, which allows me to create even better videos for you guys. Thanks for watching, stay creative.